Hello and welcome to our preview show where we're looking ahead to tomorrow's fixture, Swansea v Luton in the Championship at the Liberty Stadium. I'm joined by Dave and Batara tonight. Evening, lads.
Hello.
Looking forward to tomorrow?
Can't wait to go.
As always.
Cannot wait. I'm looking forward to it because
football.
Yeah,
it's very busy few weeks of football at the moment, is it? Loads of Tuesday night games. Luckily we got knocked out of the cup. Otherwise we'd had another one next week. But
such a bad thing. Terrible.
No, I'm looking forward to the trip though. It's about time. It's about time for us to prove that we can do something, right?
We're going to be speaking to Rhys, who's a Swansea fan, in a few minutes. But looking at Swansea briefly before he comes on, they have kind of had a good transfer window. They took Harry Darling from MK Dons, who I know he cost them a little bit of money in the end, but he's someone I think if we would have got him, it would have been a brilliant signing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
I know you don't like MK, but he was a good player.
Yeah, what I saw of him, he looked very good, but I'm just thankful that he's left Milton Keynes, so I'd rather be playing for Swansea than them, down the road, so good.
And Obafemi up front looking like he's a danger man.
Yeah, but I think Joel Pirro more than anything is more a threat, but I think they're all threats, but we'll contain it, it's fine.
What do you make of Swansea for this season, though?
I think they're expecting more than last season. They're looking for progression like we are. I suspect they're expecting to be. I think they're expecting to beat us on Saturday. I think different team from last season, aren't they?
Do you reckon Swansea will they be expecting to finish in the top 6 in the playoffs?
Well, I think most of their supporters will be looking for top half of the table.
Yeah,
definitely playoffs because
everyone needs to be realistic, though, don't they? The top 6 is a really difficult thing. I mean, we know this. I mean, we're not saying it was easy for us last season, but to get there is extraordinary. And I mean, even like Swansea City, for example, they've been there before. They've been to the Premier League. They've been promoted, I think, via the playoffs and whatever else. But they know that it's not easy, and I think they'll be happy to even be in and around with a shout of getting the playoffs.
Well, wouldn't we all? But it's progression, isn't it? Every season you want to do better than the last one.
But I mean, any fan would not expect to be in the playoffs. So look,
I was going to say, isn't it
or hope?
The beauty of the Championship is that you have got maybe like 15, 16 teams that are all sitting there going, we could get playoffs this season. Millwall will be looking at it. QPR, Middlesbrough, West Brom, Blackburn, Preston, Swansea, Coventry. Norwich,
at this rate, Coventry,
Watford, Burnley, Huddersfield, Stoke. All these teams will be looking and going, we could maybe sneak into that.
Well, because the point is, though, that's it. People say the Premier League is the best league in the world, but it isn't the most competitive league in the world, in my view. There's only 4 teams that could win that division, maybe 3. In our division...
You just don't know, do you?
You cannot predict. You cannot predict. So, I think we're in a much better division.
So you don't want to go up then?
No, it's not. That's not what I said. I'm not at this one. If we go up, though, if we got promoted, we're not going to win the bloody Premier League ever, are we?
Leicester City.
Yeah.
So.
And anybody else other than the other top 4 teams.
Well, either way.
All I'm saying is this is a hard division to be in, so you shouldn't expect to win every game, etc.
Well, let's speak to our Swansea fan. Rhys joins us tonight from Swans Away Days YouTube channel. Rhys, thank you so much for doing this tonight, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for getting me on, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the game of the weekend, making the long trip to Swansea. Look, we've had 4 games this season now. What have you made of Swansea's start to the Championship season? Yeah,
it was a pretty difficult start if you include our cup defeat to Oxford United as well. Quite frustrating in terms of, not really getting much chances in front of goals, a lot of possession, but weren't, getting the chance and weren't finishing them. But yeah, we've responded well to those few games, obviously beating Blackpool last weekend, which was a very, very good victory. So yeah, on the up now, and hopefully, we can get 3 points against you guys tomorrow.
Thank you. What is there anything different about Swansea we should know about this season? I mean, how did they go with signings and things like that, new players?
Yeah, obviously we brought in Harry Darling from MK Dons from League One last season, who was in the team of the year.
Then, mate.
He's been very, very good so far, and of course a Russell Martin player. Joe Allen, of course, as Luton Town fans will know from playing Stoke City last year, he's a very experienced player, plays for Wales as well. So yeah, he's got very good experience. Obviously, losing Flynn down to a big blow, but yeah, I think it's going to be very similar to when we played you guys at Kenilworth Road last season when you went 3-0 up, absolutely bad as that first half.
Yeah.
Henry Lansbury should have been sent off.
Oh mate, to be fair to him, your guy did sort of like get in the way.
Oh yeah, he knew what he was doing, didn't he? He knew what he was doing, Lansbury.
Yeah, that's it.
He should have been bucked by that, Lansbury. I don't think he even got a yellow card for that, so it was quite funny. But yeah, second half we obviously turned it around. It was an interesting game, wasn't it? And mental. So hopefully we can see more of that second half. But like you guys with Adebayo up front, especially Nathan Jones, obviously Cardiff boy. We see the celebration. Last season, so hopefully we can use that to motivate us a little bit because I know we want to see that again. But yeah, it should be a very good game.
Here's a question on what you just said about Nathan Jones. We've seen in the Arsenal All or Nothing documentary that Arteta gets that tweet up from Ivan Toney before the game, basically motivating his players. Is that something that Swansea would do? Would they show that footage to their players and go, this is what Nathan Jones did last season?
Not too sure, if I've got to be honest. Not sure if Martin's that type of character. I think Martin's more looking forward and going into the past manager. But I think it'll probably be mentioned, especially amongst the supporters, and obviously, when things go around, supporters obviously gets into the dressing room as well. So I think there'll be one eye on mine trying to get one over Nathan Jones, especially last year. And obviously, with Nathan Jones will be looking at that 3-0, which he obviously bottled last season. He'll want to not see that happen again. So yeah, I think it could get mentioned quite slightly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talking of Nathan Jones, you must. I bet you can't stand him, can you?
Well, I didn't actually know his Cardiff relations until after the game where you beat us 1-0 in February. So I don't actually mind him. I think at Stoke he had a difficult job, and I was saying this before that Stoke is pretty much an impossible job with so much expectation and things like Gary Rowett, for example. He failed then, like a well, he threw at Millwall, so with Nathan Jones. And I'm surprised that Jones went back to Luton, especially with his reputation after leaving to go to Stoke. Yeah. A lot of fans. But yeah, he's done really, really well, and with the funds you got to get into the playoff semi-final last year, it was very good. And I think you got robbed personally. I think you should have gone through. So,
well, thanks for that. I think Jones actually came back at the right time for us, and he was probably blessed because of COVID and everything else. There was no one to give him any pressure, and he got us out of a really sticky situation. Yeah. I kind of like him. I think he's a good manager.
Yeah. I think him being Welsh obviously helps a little bit, but like I said, his relations aren't great. But yeah, I think he's a very good championship manager, and like I said, with his funds available to him, he gets some really good bargains.
With Swansea's end to last season, it did seem to be quite strong, and I think there was a stage where, because I do follow a couple of Swansea fans on Twitter, and it kind of seemed like it got to a stage where you guys were thinking, actually, if we carry on winning here, we might make a late push for the playoffs, but it didn't quite work out in the end. But does that mean you're coming into this season and you've got these expectations that you want to be pushing into that top six this year?
Definitely. Obviously, we've been in the playoffs before under Steve Cooper. And obviously, it's a bit of a process, different obviously scenario playing still under Russell Mines. So last year was a little bit of a write-off season. We weren't expecting too much. Our expectations were pretty low. And obviously, we've had a breakout season with Obafemi and Pro. Patterson as well after he did pretty much nothing at Bristol City. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think I see a lot more expectation. I think top 10 is definitely the ambition. I don't mind trying to play down expectations so the players don't get too much, pressure on them. But I definitely think there should be some sort of expectation for us this season from some of the players we've got on the squad.
So talking about obviously your squad, your players, key players for you. I mean, I've heard a few people talk about obviously Michael Obafemi and obviously a few others, but obviously I know Downs went, obviously a big loss, like you said at the beginning, but who, as obviously a Luton fan, should we be worried about, or maybe not worried, but looking forward and looking at a player as say we need to stop those because they got some real quality?
So I'll give one for one defender, one midfield, one attacker. Defensively, I'd go for Harry Darling. Luton will probably obviously try to press us, make mistakes, which we've seen before for Swansea in the past. But Darling's a very good ball playing centre-back. He's got definitely a range to drive through midfield and have a strike or play them long-range passes. For midfield, I'm actually going to go for a player who usually comes off the bench, and he did that at for last season, Olivier N'Jam.
Yeah, he was a player I was thinking about, yeah. He was the one that I clocked, and obviously I think it was the ex-Celtic, wasn't he?
Ex-Celtic, yeah. So it's a weird one with N'Jam, because every time he seems to start, he doesn't perform, doesn't really get into the game. But as soon as he comes off the bench, makes a huge impact. And it's one of those players who I'm sure you guys have one at Luton Town where they've got so much ability, they only really show it off the bench and can't really do it for 90 minutes. So that's dangerous because obviously he came on last season and scored, just to remind you again. An attacker with Obafemi. As a recorded, none of them have scored so far. I'm sure you guys seen Obafemi's miss at Rotherham, which was pretty much criminal, to be honest.
Miss of the season, wasn't it?
That was brilliant, wasn't
it? But yeah, as recorded, none of them have scored so far. Perot's playing a bit more as a number 10 this season with Obafemi up front. So I'll go up for Perot. His playmaking ability is incredible. He's one of the best finishers in the Championship. Brilliant on his left or right foot. So yeah, Perot.
Yeah, to be fair, Joel Perot is Joel, isn't it? Joel Perot. Yeah. Big, I've seen him play a few times. I'll be honest, I don't really like bigging up opposition players, but big fan. Technically very good as well. But
yeah,
my guy with Femi, I've never really seen much of him. I don't know. Is he quick? Is he powerful? What is he? I've seen him play a few times. I just never really got the whole gist of what he does.
It took him a while to get started 11. We scored one goal for the first couple of months, but then we played him a lot more in the second half season. I think he scored in double digits, and obviously he scored 2 against Cardiff City as well, which was obviously brilliant for us. But yeah, obviously a very quick player. Obviously not the biggest of players, but can definitely frighten defences. Obviously last weekend against Blackpool on the counter-attack, just breezes past a guy and then unselfishly plays it to end general scores. So he's definitely a player who we can hit long balls to and try to get the second phase of play and use his pace to get him behind the defence. And I think that's definitely something massive against Luton tomorrow, who will probably try and counter-attack us like the majority of teams hasn't been successful before. So yeah, Obafemi's pace is brilliant on the counter-attack. So
I think we've got to play like that as well. Harry Cornick, so
he's a good player.
Yeah. Cornick, well, let's hope he can get over the back and straight one, bottom corner. Lovely.
So, coming into the game tomorrow then, what can Luton just expect from Swansea at home? Because I think we have a very good way of playing at home. Obviously, this season it's not kind of gone to plan with our 2 home games without scoring a goal. But what are Swansea like at home? Can we be expected them to come out really quick and firing at us?
Yeah, at home it's a weird one because I know it's an easy thing to say, but when we're playing well, we usually win games. But when it turns bad, it's really, really poor. And, we don't usually turn it around. So at home you can expect, Swansea to dominate the ball, 60, 70% possession probably. We try and create chances, but sometimes, especially in possession, we're very slow and it just turns out to be a bit of a sluggish game with the opposition sitting in behind. We're just not doing much of the possession. So it could be one of those, especially if the wing backs have just not got much pace in the wing backs. We've not really got any out-and-out wing backs at the moment. Against Blackpool last week, we went to a bit of a four-the-back system with Man or Nola as like wingers and advanced wingers. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not too sure what formation we're going to play tomorrow, but probably it's going to be a lot of possession. Luton will probably try to utilise the set pieces with Sonny Bradley and tall players like that in the box. So it'll be a very interesting game tactics-wise.
And if we manage to sort of subdue your team for a bit, how long is it going to take for the crowd to turn aside, or will they just be thinking we're going to get back in this easily? If you know what I'm trying to say, because I think if we keep a clean sheet for a while, then get 1 or 2 opportunities, maybe the crowd gets a bit uppity.
Yeah, they do tend to. Last season, even when we were 1 or 2-0 down, the crowd were pretty relaxed because we knew. But obviously, with expectation growing this season, when we lost 3-0 to Blackburn, when we went 1-0 down from a mistake, the crowd got really, really edgy. And every time we were passing slowly, you could hear the groans and stuff like that. So if Luton can get an early goal, it'll help you massively because the crowd try to help the players, but as soon as we go 1-0 down, the players are really slow possession-wise. It does get quite frustrating at times. So, yeah, the longer you guys can, keep a clean sheet and stop the scoring, the easier. Because when we do score first, especially quite early on, we try and, get the second. It really helps the atmosphere.
And Rhys, last question then. What's going to happen tomorrow?
Good question. Anything can happen. Like I said, you guys have not had a great start of the season. Obviously, losing to Newport County as well. And the Cup, I know you made 11 changes, but that's disappointing. Same with us losing to Oxford.
Come on.
It'll be interesting. Like I said, Jones will obviously want to, perform in this game, being, he hates us. Swansea, Luton last season, we showed really good promises. Second half, we saw in that Luton game at our stadium, we were terrible in the first half against you. So I'm probably going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think it'll be tight. Should be a very entertaining game. Us possession using Adebayo, Cornick, Colton Morris's pace, and Henry Lansbury as well, which should be interesting.
Well, let's hope half of them are fit, because at the moment we're struggling for players, so you might be all right. But,
Fingers crossed. I'll take a draw. No, I'll take a
yeah,
draw.
no, of course.
I think I've said this every podcast. An away game, as long as we don't lose, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
So,
But I think we've got a very half-decent record at your place in recent years, so I'm hoping for a win.
You're
It's
hoping for a
hope.
win. I'm not expecting a win at all. I'm thinking we might struggle. So I'm not going to say we're going to lose, but, I'll be grateful for that 1-1 draw that you've just predicted, Rhys.
Definitely. Well, Rhys, thank you so much. Good luck tomorrow, and enjoy the game, and thank you so much for your time tonight.
Yeah, cheers and safe travels down.
Really nice chatting to Rhys, and I said this last week on the preview show, but it's refreshing just everyone's opinions on Luton, despite the start to the season. They still think it's going to be a tough game.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, clearly they're not silly. Like you'd have to be a fool to write a team off, surely, especially at this level. So yeah, fair play to him, and obviously he's done his research as well.
Oh, I think it's very fair with his assessment of us, for definite. And they're not going to think that we're going to lie down and die over that game, are they? They're thinking we're going to give them a good game, and you've got to be happy that people are thinking about that about us now.
I liked your point, on if we can keep it 0-0 for a while, will the Swansea fans start to get a little bit restless? Will they start to be on edge? And it is interesting what he said, like when they lost 3-0 to Blackburn, and when they went 1-0 down to Blackburn, that actually fans did get a little bit restless. So it'll be interesting to see if that's kind of the approach we go for.
I think we're going to approach it the same way we approached Burnley. Really, we're going to go at them straight away, and hopefully, we get that lucky break, because we deserve a bit of luck.
Yeah,
and score. If we score first, this game could be very, very interesting.
What do you reckon Hudson thinks tonight?
Hudson's saying 3-0.
Oh, he's going mental mate out there.
Hudson's saying 3-0.
He's talking rubbish. That's literally what he's saying out there.
But it is a big thing, though, isn't it? It's a big thing. Like we know it at Kenilworth Road. Sometimes when we're playing very poorly, the crowd gets a bit anxious, and it does come across, and it does affect the players for definite. I suspect we're going to start quick. We're going to try not to concede. Hope we don't get caught on the break, and then we'll settle into the game. So I'm hopeful that we don't lose. So I'd take that 1-1 all day long. I think it's going to be a
very, very tight game.
I think it's going to be very tough. I mean, we can't underestimate Swansea.
I'll be honest, I can't see much happening in that game. Really? Chance creation wise. I know we're going about XG and all that sort of stuff, but I can't see much happening. I'll be honest, I just think how I've seen Swansea play, they're very like possession based, build up. I mean, they might have changed it a bit now, but without really going out and going up the opposition. And I think from our point of view, I think we're not going to risk nothing.
I think it all depends also on our press as well. If our press is high, where we just shut them down quick, I think we've got a chance.
You watch it be like 5-4 now or something.
Oh, mate, I'd love it if it was a 5-4 to us. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, it was to them, mate.
I mean, we're making the long journey there tomorrow morning, so a 5-4 win would be beautiful. I can't quite remember what the score is on this leaderboard, but I guess none of us predicted Luton 0, Preston 1 last week. So let's try again this week.
So just to let you know, I'm still top of the league.
And we need this you need to write this down.
I don't think you are though, Dave.
I am.
What's the score going to be tomorrow?
Because you never got me involved with the second one. So therefore, it's a default. I get as many points as a lot of you. So.
Sorry, what's the score going to be tomorrow?
It's going to be Swansea 1, Luton Town 1. Just as Rhys said.
I'm going for a Luton Town win 1-0 away.
I'm going to go for a 2-0 Luton win because I can't go for anything else.
Well, I hope you both are right.
Yeah.
But only one of you can be right. So Luton Town win is fine. 2 or 1-0, I don't care.
By the way, what happens in the season? Whoever gets like top of the leaderboard?
We'll get the other twos tattooed on us.
No tattoos. No more tattoos. That's all we've got time for today on the preview show. Safe travels if you're joining us in Swansea tomorrow. Let us know if you are as well. Tweet us over in the town. And let us know what you think the score is going to be. How are we going to play? How are we going to set up? And will we get that away win? Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next week.